The Latin Quarter, named for the most commonly spoken language of the French scholars prior to the Revolution, is Paris's academic centre. It is home to some of Europe's most esteemed and historic university campuses, including the famous Sorbonne. It remains a vibrant student area, attracting trendy bars and comic shops, along with more traditional Parisian staples. Stop! Do you want to be an internet famous travel vlogger, just like me, but don't want to put in too much time or expense, just like me? Then you need TJ's Travels Guide to a super Instagrammable half day in Paris. We start, obviously, with the main event. The Eiffel Tower is Paris's most iconic landmark. It stands at 1/5 of a mile tall, cost the equivalent of £30 million in 2 years to build, and has been standing for the last 135 years. It was constructed for the 1889's World's Fair. It was supposed to be dismantled 20 years later, but avoided demolition thanks to the advancement in radio technology, the tower being a perfect transmitter. It is currently adorned with the Olympic rings, following the city's hosting of the 2024 Games. You can climb the tower, but this costs over €30 per person and will take up a lot of your day, so it's best appreciated from the ground level, as the view from the top doesn't have the tower. Now it's time to sail upon the Seine, because who doesn't love a river cruise? A ticket for the bateau bus costs under €30 for as many trips as you like for 2 whole days. The boat has panoramic views of the riverside, but my tip is to stand at the back and feel the breeze as the city sails by. You will pass under Pont Alexandre III, named for the Russian Tsar. It's the most extravagant bridge in Paris. It was built between 1896 and 1900 during the Franco-Russian alliance. Adele filmed the video for Someone Like You right here. You will also see the Conciergerie, originally part of the Royal Palace before becoming a makeshift courthouse and prison during the French Revolution. Prisoners, including Marie Antoinette, were imprisoned here and sentenced to the guillotine. The French metal band Gojira also played here as part of the Olympic opening ceremony. Our main destination on this part of the river tour is a little bit more well known. Notre Dame is one of the world's most famous churches. The 66,000 square foot cathedral was built between 1163 and 1260, but suffered a devastating fire 850 years later in 2019. Around 500 firefighters tackled the blaze, in which Notre Dame's roof and the main spire were destroyed, amongst other considerable damage. £700 million has been donated from all over the world for the restoration, including a brand new spire, which began in early 2021. You will be able to see the cathedral partly from the bateau bus as it passes by, but if you feel like paying a little bit more respect, dock here for a while before jumping back on the boat, but don't get too comfy because we're not too far from the final stop on our river cruise. The Louvre served as a royal residence prior to the French Revolution. Following the bourgeoisie losing power and their heads, it was decided that the Louvre should serve as a museum, given all the objets d'art that already resided under the monarchy. It remains the most visited museum in the world, with nearly 10 million people annually. It most notably houses the Mona Lisa since the 1800s, apart from the time Napoleon hung in his bedroom for a while and the time it was stolen in 1911. In the late 1980s, the museum was renovated and modernised, with the inclusion of a glass pyramid and underground entrance, and the expansion of its collection. It currently holds over 600,000 artefacts and 35,000 works of art over 8 galleries, which would take you over 100 days to view. This, plus not being allowed remotely near the Mona Lisa anymore, is why we're appreciating it from its historic grounds rather than paying the admission. The rest of our trip is going to be on foot, just over 2 miles of it, but the whole thing is literally one straight line with lots to see and do. The Tuileries Garden outside the Louvre was commissioned by the Queen of France in 1564, following the death of the king. By 1667, the royals had opened the garden to the public, the same public who had watched them be marched over a kilometre through the gardens to their execution during the Revolution. This is also where the Olympic torch burns throughout the 2024 Games, beside this huge balloon, honouring the first manned balloon flight by the French in 1783. The garden also features several little cafes and bars. Place de la Concorde, known as Revolution Square, is recognisable by the Egyptian Luxor obelisk that was erected in 1836 to replace the toppled statue of Louis XV, next to several ornate fountains. It is here that many of the bourgeoisie, including Marie Antoinette, faced the guillotine during the Revolution. During the Olympics, the square hosted basketball, skateboarding, BMX and breakdancing events. Champs-Élysées is considered the most beautiful avenue in the world. It runs for 2 kilometres from Place de la Concorde to our final stop on our destination. It was originally considered to be an extension of the Tuileries Gardens before Napoleon III had it transformed, inspired by the 19th century Lord Street in Southampton, England, a place he had visited and adored. Today it is considered a high-end shopping district and hosts various events in the Parisian calendar. It has also been the site of no less than 3 terrorist attacks over the past 3 years. Finally, we arrived at our ultimate destination and probably the most famous roundabout in the world, the Arc de Triomphe. The 50-metre tall stone archway honours the French war dead from 1792 onwards and features the tomb of the unknown soldier from World War I. It was built between 1806 and 1836 and was more expensive to build than the Eiffel Tower. Due to the military symbolism, it is customary for returning and visiting armies to march around the arch in celebration. This was even observed by the German army after their successful invasion of France in the Second World War, and then, soon after, by the Allied forces who kicked them back out again. For the truly best view in Paris, it costs less than £15 to climb the arch and look out over Paris, including a view of the Eiffel Tower. And you're done. You can tick off tourism in half a day, and now you can spend the rest of your trip drinking champagne and eating cheese. You're welcome.
la grande jaja. Elle est si grande qu'on voit ses genoux quand derrière son baret doux. Elle est pas plus belle que ça, la grande jaja. On lui a jamais fait la cour, on lui a jamais fait l'amour, on l'a jamais prise dans ses bras, la grande jaja. Et dernière à Aubervilliers, les clients disent qu'il est pas né, celui qui fera un enfant à la grande jaja.
On sent claquer la violence. Au bord du plongeon, plus aucune défense. Pillage, crasse et vengeance. Poussière sous la peau, langage sans écho.
De Gaulle is probably one of the most seediest tourist traps in all of Paris, famous for the overly sexualised cabaret of the Moulin Rouge. This has attracted the obvious infrastructure around it of sex shops and strip clubs and brothels, but weirdly it's also the spot of the oldest chocolate shop in Paris, which was absolutely delightful. The catacombs of Paris are a 300-kilometre labyrinth of tunnels that run deep below the city's streets and subway systems, many of them knee-deep in the dead. The origin of these tunnels is incredibly practical. Starting in the 13th century, the materials used to build the developing city were mined from the surrounding area, something that continued uninterrupted for hundreds of years, as the city limits and these mines expanded. By the late 1700s, many parts of the city were built over these old mines, leading to obvious disaster as Paris began to fall into the darkness below. This led to King Louis XVI creating the General Inspection of Quarries, who went about building a tunnel network under the city through the mines, tasked with the inspection, maintenance and repair of the ground on which the city was built. However, the expansion of Paris had other unexpected consequences. The city's growing population, along with the crime and squalor and disease that was inevitable, was leading to an unimaginable amount of cadavers. With the city's graveyards overflowing, it was decided that the bodies would be moved into the catacombs, filling the tunnels with bodies and bones. Over 2 years, the bodies of 6 million Parisians piled up in the darkness. In 1810, part of the catacombs would open up to the public as the macabre tourist attraction we know today, and the bones of uncountable souls were piled up into bizarre arrangements. During World War II, the French resistance would use these tunnels in the operation to liberate Paris from the Nazi occupation. In 2004, it was discovered that a team of urban explorers had secretly built a cinema and bar within part of the catacombs. In 2014, the horror film, As Above, So Below, was credited as being the first production granted permission to film in the tunnels, although many filmmakers have used the catacombs without permission long before and since. There are many urban myths originating from the tunnels, but only one death has officially been recognised in 1793. A porter of a nearby hospital inexplicably found his way into the catacombs and became lost in the darkness. He was found 11 years later, identified by his hospital keys, just metres away from the exit he couldn't reach. Le Corner became an absolute favourite spot for me and Jodie to eat and drink. On this occasion, I tried frog's legs, which I'll give a 6 out of 10, French onion soup, which is a definite 10 out of 10, as is the French Meteor Pilsner. And we shared a creme brulee, which again, absolute 10 out of 10.
Le Marais is one of Paris's most historic districts, a place of architectural importance that was fashionable with French nobility prior to the late 18th century. The Bastille, a 14th century fortress, stood near here and was famously stormed in 1789 in an attempt to put its weapons, armour and gunpowder into the hands of the people, an event considered to be the true beginning of the French Revolution. Prior to the uprising, the bourgeoisie would have frequented Place Royale, the first of many squares and plazas built on the order of King Henry IV, in an effort to modernise the city, a trend that was sweeping across Europe and its monarchies. This very park was also popular with Jim Morrison of The Doors, who moved to the city after the recording of LA Woman. He lived here, apartment 17, Rue Boutraille. He often relaxed at a bar opposite his apartment. It's still there, but they do not welcome tourists. Jim Morrison was found dead at 6 a.m. July the 3rd, 1971. Although the official cause of death was stated as a heart attack in the bath, many theories have persisted about what really happened to him. He was laid to rest in nearby Père Lachaise Cemetery. His gravestone reads, "True to his own spirit." He was 27 years old.